about the seeds laws and what's upcoming there. Now I will talk about the new legislative proposal on new genomic techniques that Judith told about and its potential consequences. Afterwards, we will send out the presentations, so please wait for also the links that's inside the presentation. You will get it. Well, my name is Ju, and I'm from NOAH, Miljøbevægelsen NOAH in Denmark. I have a master's degree in science and technology, integrated food studies, and I work with food sovereignty, new GMOs, entities, and nature conservation. I also was a member of the new Genomic Techniques Council in the Food Ministry from 17 to 23. And I have a lot of collaborations and networks especially with GMOs and the new upcoming new GMOs. So my presentation will tell you about a new proposal that the European Commission raised in 23. Judith just mentioned it, but it's equal to the seeds regulation that Judith told about. So they will choose how it works with seeds and plants and food, our food in the future. So the new GMOs or GMOs are called NGTs now, and they are called new genomic techniques, but also they are called NGTs. So in my presentation, I will call them NGTs or new GMOs. Today, I will tell you about how does the regulation work today when you want to cultivate GMOs, and what does the new law proposal imply? How far has the proposal gone? What is the consequences for nature, health, and democracy? And are there other ways? Could we have an incipient conversation about alternatives? And yeah, this is another directive than Judith told about, as I said. So the deliberate release directive was made or created in 2001. It already began in the 90s, where European farmers and scientists found out that there were some impacts from growing GMOs on health and environment. So this NGT proposal want to change how it has been since 2001. The directive that was made in 2001 lays down the approval for GMO products before sale, marketing, and cultivation. According to the regulation, GMOs can only be approved for sale and cultivation if it has been assessed by European EFSA, it's called, and can only be sold if it doesn't pose any health or environmental risks to consumers. Yeah, so you can see the directive gives especially rules for how to use these GMOs. So in the 2001 directive, there was a definition of genetically modified organisms. And as you can see, the definition is that genetically modified organisms means an organism with the exception of human being, in which the genetic material has been altered in a way that does not occur naturally by mating and or natural recombination. Also, you find definition in the United Nations Cartagena Protocol. So the EU is not alone on such a definition. In the old, in the deliberate release directive, they made some exemptions. And these exemptions I will tell about because they have been used to demand that the entities also should be exempted. So in this part of the directive, it says that the directive shall not reply to, what does it say? I cannot see so small, but you can read it. And in this way, they exempted cell fusion and mutagenesis. And these two techniques were used already for 80 years in 2001. So they said that it was safe to use when they made the 2001 18 EC regulation. This is one exemption. There is also another exemption, exemption 2, and this is about genetically modified organisms that is carried by railroad in waterway, sea, and air. But I will only go and tell about this exemption, because now in the law proposal they use this already existing exemptions to lay down the new proposal. So as you can read, the law proposal will change the deliberate release directive. And if it's adopted, the majority of GM plants developed with new GM technology will no longer be subject to the EU GMO requirements or regulation, and it's called a deregulation. GMO crops will, GMO crops with up to 20 genetic modification will be considered equivalent to conventional plants in European laws. And I don't know if you remember Judith's matrix, but the conventional breeding is quite something else than NGTs. And this new category that they want to exempt is called the category 1 NGT plants. And these will be allowed to enter the market without risk assessment, GMO labeling, traceability, and all other safety measures, and also allow the use of the new breeders gene pool, which is, for example, synthetic materials. They also made an NGT2 category, but these are GMOs in the directive. So all over up over 20 genetic modifications they call GMOs. So these GMOs will be given a totally new subcategory in the directive, just as you saw the exemptions already existing in the directive. So the only thing that may come with the European Commission's law proposal is that on seeds there will still be a labeling. There will still be labeled that these crops have been developed with NGT1, but from the farmers have cultivated, it will no longer be required. Yeah, so this is the part where you can read it, the law proposal in a short version. As you can see, it's up to 20 genetic modifications. And I will not go into this, but please feel free to go into the directive afterwards and the law proposal. If the law proposal is adopted, this will mean that risk assessments, there will be no risk assessments. The traceability and transparency throughout the food chain will be removed. The buffer zones around GMO agriculture will be removed. The GMO labeling in food removed. Organic farming will be contaminated over years. And it is in the farmer's hands to decide if they use NGT category 1 or not. And after sowing, the harvesting, there is no mandatory labeling. So farmers, retailers, citizens, governments lose their right to know if the food is made and developed by GMO methods. And this is because of the spread. Because if it's not labeled, it will spread to the nearby surroundings. So we are not the only one being concerned. Already in 2018, the European Court of Justice declared that the new genomic techniques should be subject to the obligation of GMOs and confirmed thereby the definition from the directive. And this European Court of Justice is not just anybody, it's the European highest legal level. They also declared this in 2023, and in this way responded to the 2018 declaration. So several other independent bodies has stated the necessity to keep the obligations of risk assessments and labeling intact in the directive. And some of these I have inserted in this. Scientists are talking with big words on the comparison of conventional breeding and NGTs, because it's not breeding. They called the first way they called them new breeding techniques. Now they are called new genomic techniques, but it's for sure not breeding. It's not precise. And NGT1 can modify far more than conventional breeding in another way that they process the seeds. But the answer from the European Commission has been that EU needs to be competitiveness in line with the United States and China. So now I will tell you how far the law proposal has come. And also you could hear it in Judith's presentation. Right now there's a trialogue going on between the European Commission, the European Parliament, and the Council. And we don't know how it will go. But the Parliament, the bad, if I can say so, the bad proposal from the European Commission was the Parliament did not support. So on the 7th of February in last year, they said that they would need labeling and traceability, but they did not go for the risk assessment. And then sorry to inform that both Sweden and Denmark have been acting as proponents for the Commission's deregulation proposal. We have a very strong biotech and agro industry here that believe that they will benefit from the deregulation. And we really need to talk to our politicians, farmers, and consumers in order to secure our right to know and keep our seeds uncontaminated, because this proposal has gone very far, and we should have had this talk in the Nordic countries as we have today already years ago. But I'm happy that we meet now. So just a little good moment, the Norwegian law that was just given some month ago, they are still upholding the old, if you can say so, measurements. So they still want to risk assess labeling and traceability opportunities. So you can see it here. I will not go so far into it, but maybe we could learn something from this. But also, as you could see before, Norwegian legislation is largely based on the treaty, the EER treaty obligation in the EU. So they are looking to the European Union in regard to the definition of the GMO. So now I am at my last slide, and yeah, I hope you understand that this is not a good proposal, and together with the proposal about seeds that Judith told about, it's really mainstreaming our seeds, and we should really try to figure out and talk about can we shape another way, because the consequences, if the proposal is adopted, it will open up for GMOs as conventional breeding in food production. The risk assessment on impacts on health and environment is removed. It's impossible to prevent the spread to wild species and own varieties. Labeling of GMOs won't be obligatory. Therefore, the consumer's right to know and the right to choose will no longer be ensured. It will be threatening biodiversity because the techniques are also allowed in wild species. Organic agriculture is contaminated by NGT over years. As it is now, they are not allowed to use the new GMOs, but some parts of the organic movement have worked for getting allowed to use SDN1. And SDN1 is where you don't use templates, so you use techniques where you change and silence and knock out genes inside the organisms. They don't put templates inside, and therefore they say that SDN1 is not GMO, but still they use the GMO techniques and all the requirements that is needed to do a GMO. Yeah, so we need to find new ways to keep GMO-free zones, opening for new and synthetic materials through breeders' gene pool. And also we see now that artificial intelligence are introduced in seeds. So it seems that this new proposal is a leeway for artificial intelligence and gene drives in breeding and food production, and we lose control of the development of seeds and food, and this is quite something that we until now have had some say in which way forward for our food and our seeds, but it seems that we are losing it now. Okay, so this is my farewell. Entities is GMOs. Therefore, the Directive 2001/18/EC is due diligence. Thanks. And please help us. There's a European-wide email action going on. I inserted the link here. Please consider sending messages to your politicians through the link. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Una, and also thank you, Judith. There are not a lot of questions in the comment field. You are all very welcome to write in more questions, and then we will be able to later. But I was wondering, this is a technically challenging issue, and I might be the only one in this room who don't have everything in complete control. So I was wondering, Judith, if you could spend just a couple of minutes to explain this PVP, PBR, and patent discussion. What are these different types of rights, and what are the challenges? What kind of future do we need?
Yeah, well, I'm a plant breeder, so not only a seed saver. So it's difficult to answer this question with the different hats. Yeah, in the chat we discussed that not PVP are not a good alternative to patents. Of course, I wasn't saying that. I just wanted to show that with the different approaches, what kind of tools are used and what was the tradition so far and how it might change with